All right, welcome everybody. You should have noticed two things. One is this video is mirrored for today because we put up an SGN sign and we forgot to draw it mirrored. So we had to mirror the video so that you could read SGN. John, in his videos, in his YouTube videos, did give permission for people to use that sign. So we have used the sign with his permission. So I'm not infringing on any copyrights. And please, if I am, don't tell on me, okay? I don't want to get sued over a free SAT class. That would just be terrible. Okay, so if it's flipped, if that's messing with your head, that's okay. You'll get used to it in like 10, 20 minutes. All right. Yeah, sadly, the surprise guest is not John Krasinski. I'm not connected to him. But if anybody else in this class is, you can connect to me, send him the link, send him my website name, tell him to register, and then we can have him attend the class. We'll make him a co-host. It's pretty easy. All right. So we do, however, have a very other important guest that I will introduce now. So today's session, the way it's going to look like, we have an important guest going over something very important for your SAT, some tips and tricks. Then I have some tips and tricks, and then we have another important guest joining us, and then we're going to close it out with a small goodbye session. Okay. So for our next guest, we have Aditi Rudra joining us. She is a UWC alumni, and she is now at UCLA studying economics and psychology. So if you joined the parent session, you must already know her, but she is going to lead us today through some really cool information, well, more beyond what was talked about in the parent session, and it will be actually really helpful. So please take notes, have your peer notes open. If anything is new or important for you, be sure to write it down. All right, Aditi, take it away.
Hi, everyone. I'm really looking forward to sharing with you guys today. I don't know if you remember me from the first class we had all together, but now it's come a long way. I know you guys have learned a lot since then. So I'm going to be talking about something a little bit different today. You may not realize that it's connected to SAT right at the start, but we'll get there, don't worry. And to begin with, I'm just going to start by showing you guys a short video. So let's see if Zoom wants to cooperate today. Okay, so before I say anything else about the video, I would just like to ask you guys a question. If you saw that advertisement and sort of eliminating any dietary restrictions, so just assuming this is any old moldy food, would you want to eat that? Just give it a couple more seconds. Okay, so I'll share these results with you. So as you can see, 95% of you would not eat that. I'm not sure about the other 5% of you. So this was an advertisement that Burger King put out earlier this year in Feb, actually. And so they were launching this whole new campaign about the danger of food additives and how their burgers don't have any of these artificial preservatives. And they thought this was a really, really smart advertisement to put out there. So I'm going to come back to the burger in just a minute. But this actually takes us into a really interesting segue into the topic of behavioral economics. So many of you may not know what that is, but you may be more comfortable with traditional economics, which is basically the premise that consumers are aiming to maximize utility, producers are aiming to maximize profit, and it's all under this pretense of scarcity. But traditional economics has this makes a very, very big assumption, and that is that humans are rational. And I'm sure majority of us can agree that we do not make rational decisions majority of the time. We are completely emotion driven. We just throw logic out of the window at any opportunity we get. So what behavioral economics does, it allows us to acknowledge this irrationality of human behavior. And in doing so, it basically becomes this confluence of economics and psychology together. So you have economics talking about this rational human behavior and psychology talking about this irrational human behavior, and behavioral economics kind of comes nicely in the middle of that. So in essence, it's just a study of human decision making. It's trying to unpack the brain and understand why we make the decisions when we make the decisions. And it's sort of founded on a very interesting model called the dual processing model. So you may have heard of this processing model before. It's actually a part of the IB psychology curriculum. So if you're doing that or planning to do that, you'll come across it later. But essentially, it was created by a guy, or came into its now known form when it was written about in a book called Thinking Fast and Slow by Daniel Kahneman, who actually won Nobel Prize in Economics in 2002 on his work on this model. And the model suggests that we have these two sorts of ways of processing information. So the first is called System 1. And so System 1 processing is a very fast form. It doesn't use a lot of brain power, but instead it uses these things called heuristics, which are essentially just mental shortcuts. So it's our brain finding any small way to not have to go through the strenuous cognitive processes. And so it's finding all of these different shortcuts. And it suggested that this was kind of created in our situations of survival. So we're able to adapt and make decisions really quickly on our feet and sort of make those quick thinking decisions. On the other hand, we have System 2 processing. So System 2 processing involves a lot more logic and reason, but on the contrary side, it's much slower and it uses a lot of brain power. And our brain, just like any other muscle in the body, it doesn't want to use, it wants to limit the amount of effort it's using. So it likes to fall into System 1 processing. And I'm sure you've kind of felt this before, like if you're studying for a math test and you're doing all those math problems endlessly and your brain actually starts to hurt, like you actually get a headache, that's from constantly using your System 2 processing. Now, I just want to ask you guys if you can write something in the chat or unmute yourself and just share where you think in your life you may be using either System 1 or System 2 processing. Feel free to share any of your thoughts. No? No one? Yeah, definitely. Like when Aparna said, while making major decisions like accepting a job offer, that definitely requires System 2 because you have to think about all the costs and benefits of making that decision, and it's a really strenuous decision that takes a lot of energy. So I just wanted to kind of bring out the point that we use both of these processing models in everything we do in everyday life. So it doesn't have to be these big kind of things. This dual processing model is applicable with everything we do. So take, for example, eating food. When we pick up a spoon, we put food on the spoon and we put that spoon into our mouth. Like we don't have to think about that anymore. At one stage of our life we did, but that happens now without thinking about it at all. That's our System 1 processing at work. But say we taste a new food and we're trying to combine the different textures in our mouth, the different flavors. We're trying to compare it to what we've tasted before and try to unpack everything that's going on in our mouth. That is something where we're using our System 2. We're actually trying to process and learn from what our mouth is feeling and what our senses are perceiving. So coming back to the burger, when we look at that burger, our System 1 processing says, ew, that is disgusting. Like, I don't know anybody who would, other than you 5% of people, I'm sorry, but I don't know who would want to eat that burger. But our System 2 processing would kind of make the argument like, yeah, that makes sense. They're trying to sell us a product that's healthier for our bodies, that doesn't have these food additives. But in this case, as 95% of you guys saw, our System 1 thinking overpowers our System 2 thinking. We don't even give ourselves a chance to think about that, the benefits of this advertisement. We're just like, ew, gross, no, never mind, no Burger King anymore. And so just bringing back in the comparison, traditional economics would sort of use utility to rationalize this advertisement and say, the utility you're gaining out of this burger is greater. But this is where behavioral economists have a problem, because in reality, that doesn't happen, right? In reality, we're like, no, that's not okay. And so this is kind of just a little bit of an introduction to behavioral economics. And you guys must be wondering, how am I going to bring this around to SAT? Like, we're just talking about a moldy Whopper. That makes no sense. But if you think about it, that moldy Whopper is your SAT question. So when we encode new information, we use our system 2 processing, right? We're dealing with a new thing. We're dealing with something new in front of us. We need our system 2 processing. But what the beautiful thing about this model is that information can actually get transferred from our system 2 to our system 1 processing, right? So, and it helps us to go on what I call autopilot mode. So I'm sure all of us have faced with the situation when you're a new student at school and the lunch bell rings and your job is to find the cafeteria. Like, I can speak from UWC's experience. It's a relatively big school, but it is so hard. You know, I remember my first day, I was like looking everywhere. I was trying to recall any face I could recognize. I was trying to say, oh, I had this class there, I had that class there. And I was trying to just figure out trying to remember what happened in orientation 3 weeks ago. How do I get to that cafeteria? And my brain was like hurting. And when I came home from school that day, my mom asked me how was school, and I was like, oh my God, it was so tiring. And that's because everything I was doing on that first day of school, I was using my system 2 processing. 6 months later, I'm able to walk down to the cafeteria, texting my friend, talking to a teacher, writing an email, all things at once. You know, I have 7 hands, so it's all possible. And but that's because that information, that processing was able to shift from my system 2 to my system 1 processing. And I was able to go in autopilot mode and just walk to the cafeteria while doing other things. So when we look at a question on the SAT, that question that we're looking at, that thing in front of us on that piece of paper, that's new information. So what should we be doing with new information? We should be using our system 2 processing. But the test makers don't want to make it so easy for you, right? They're like, the content's easy enough. If they get a chance to use their system 2 processing, then the test is too easy. So what do? They cut down your time. So now you're in a very pressured situation. When you open that test paper, you know you're running against time. Your heart starts beating, your body is pumping adrenaline through your blood, you're sweating, and now you're in a state of that fight and flight mode, that mode of survival, right? You're just trying to find the fastest way to get out of there. So unfortunately, your brain switches to system 1 processing. And while system 1 processing is great, it's fast, it uses less brain energy, it uses these shortcuts which are highly, highly prone to mistakes. And that's what we spent a lot of time in this class discussing, right? Things like missing second part questions. Why does that happen? Because we're reading the question too fast. We're using those mental shortcuts and answering the question before we've even finished reading the question. Sometimes we'll read a question and say, I've seen that in a paper I've done before. I know what the question's asking, and we'll just answer it. But we haven't actually read properly. But what is going on here? Our brain is using these mental shortcuts. It's using the system 1 processing to sort of find the fastest way to solve the question. So a lot of people here would just stop. They would say, you know, we've understood this is how the brain works. This seems natural for the mind to do. But we're not going to stop here. We want to understand, how can we overcome this? How can we now utilize the fact that we know that the brain does this to do better on the SAT? And the answer is, it's a simple word, but it means a lot of work. And the answer is practice. Just as we practice finding the cafeteria every single day of the school year, if we start to practice using the correct approach on every single question that we do, then using those correct approaches becomes our autopilot mode, right? It becomes our first instinct in a timed, pressured situation, right? We practice these things in our peacetime so that when we're in the stressful situation, they become first nature to us. And now we understand what that first nature means. That first nature is our system 1 processing. So whether it's doing the 5 steps of reading the question in the math section, or pointing out what grammar mistake is wrong in each of the English options, or falling in love with the passage in reading, if we're not doing it every single time we're practicing the SAT, we're not going to be able to do it on the test day. We can't expect to show up on the test day and do something new. We need to be practicing it every single time. So if we take, for example, 5 steps of reading the question, right? If every time you do an SAT math question, you do those 5 steps, you read the question, you underline the question, you do all of that, then when you're in the exam and you see a math question, your brain's going to be, and you're stressed, your heart's beating, you're in that survival mode, your brain's going to go to system 1 processing. But with all the practice, what you've done is you've made your system 1 processing include an approach which applies the logic and reason from system 2 processing. And you've basically outsmarted your brain. So you found the trick that allows you to take the best of system 2 processing, the logic and the reason from this correct approach that you're using, and combined it with the ability to move fast in the exam and use less brain energy so you don't stress out your brain. So I like to call it the Hannah Montana mode. You've got the best of both worlds, right? You guys are Hannah Montana. I'm so jealous of you. But with this understanding, you can do the best of both worlds. You can take that fast moving system 1 processing and apply the logic, but that's only if you make it your autopilot mode. It's only if you practice it every moment. So I know this is a lot. I've been talking a lot about this sort of system 1, system 2, and this is one of the really fundamental kind of concepts in behavioral economics. But there are a couple other things I want to talk about too that will hopefully act as some nice practical tips for you in the test. So another thing that you learn about in behavioral economics is choice overload. So choice overload is when we're faced with so many options, our easiest choice is to make no choice at all. And you may think that doesn't make too much sense. Like, why would you do that? But I can remind you of some scenarios where it may happen more commonly than you think. I remember personally for me, for example, choosing my IGCSE subject choices. So for the art, so in UWC, you have to make like a choice for the arts. So they were like, you can choose DT, and there's 2 types of DT, right? Resistant materials and systems control, I think. Food tech, then you have arts, visual arts, performing arts, graphic design, music. There's like a million choices, and I just didn't want to make any choice. I didn't want to make any choice between the arts. I wanted to do them all or none, right? I couldn't make that decision. And if that's not something you've experienced, then upcoming is going to be your college choices, where you're kind of finalizing those colleges that you have to make. And I can tell you, there's going to be a moment you're sitting in that room with that college counselor, and they're going to be saying, do you want to go to a private school, public school, liberal arts, research institution, big school, small school, 4-year program, 3-year program? And your mind is going to explode. You're just going to say, I'm not going to college. I'm staying home forever. I'm never leaving high school. I'll fail the IB if it means it, and I'm not going to college. I can tell you it's happened to me. It's happened to almost everybody I know. But we don't want this to happen, right? This is just choice overload taking over us. We don't want to delay these decisions because we don't know how to deal with them, but we want to eliminate the choices and make the decision we have to make less daunting. And this is going to happen, this can happen on the SAT as well. You can see a question and you can see all the answer choices and get really, really stressed out with what's in front of you and just think, let me move on and leave these questions blank. But what I would advise you to do is to do as much as you can to eliminate options you know are wrong. And this class, I know in this class, we've discussed some methods of doing that. For example, using the units. If you know what units the answer should be, you can automatically usually cross out 2 out of your 4 options. And now you're looking at a much simpler question. And I can guarantee you that when you have less choices, you will be able to see the problem more clearly. You'll see the solution, you'll see the answer, and the path to get from one to the other will just reveal itself to you. So if you come in that sort of situation where you're getting stressed, you're not sure what to do with all these options in front of you, the best thing you can do is to eliminate. And usually I'm sure 1 out of those 4 options is definitely going to be wrong, and you can intuitively tell that it's wrong. And when I say eliminate the choices, don't just mentally say A is wrong, cross it out on your paper. Because if your brain is still seeing A on the page, it's going to still think it's an option that it can be dealt with. If you physically cross out what you know is wrong, you're giving your brain the space to actually deal with the problem at hand rather than crowding it with unnecessary information. So this is another thing you want to look at. So first we had practice, and practicing the correct approach. And second thing we have is eliminating our choices. So one thing to do before the test, one thing to do after the test. Now, The third thing I'm going to talk about, one thing to do before, one thing to do during. The third thing I'm going to talk about is called sunk cost fallacy. Sunk cost fallacy is a theory that once we invest in a particular path, our commitment to that path grows. So once we make a decision, we will come up with all the reasoning to commit to that decision and continue on that decision. And just sort of to give you a bit of a comic example, one time I bought this neon orange, like horrendous skirt. It was like knee length. It was like disgusting, the most disgusting piece of clothing I've ever bought. But I made the decision I want to buy it. And then my commitment just grew. I was wearing it everywhere. There's so many pictures of me in that skirt, and I regret it so much. But on a more serious note, this happens all the time with us. We'll like make a decision and our parents will say, no, I don't think that's the right decision for you. But we'll keep coming up with illogical reasoning to say, no, it's right, I'm right. Because we've made that decision in our heads that this is what we're gonna do, this is what we want. No matter what other people are telling us, it doesn't matter. And we really don't want to fall under the prey of this in the SAT. And where this is particularly useful is when you're checking your work. So what happens in the average situation when you're checking your work, right? You have about 3 to 4 minutes left. You have 30 questions in front of you. You're stressed because you know that there's no way you're going to be able to check all of your questions properly. So what do? You flip to the front of the booklet and you go, 1, good, okay, yes, okay, yeah, okay, makes sense, yeah, okay, done. And you've checked your work, very happy, done, next section. Now, this is something that a lot of us do, and I've been doing for very long. But what we need to understand is here we're falling under the prey of sunk cost fallacy. When we attempted question 1 the first time, we made a decision that I was going to follow this method, X method, to solve the question. Now, when I'm checking over my work in a stressed time, I'm just skimming over it and I'm continuing my commitment to the decision to use X method. But what's the problem here? When we use the same method the second time, the likelihood of catching our mistakes is very low. It's more likely that we're just going to make that same mistake again because we're not looking at the question in any new way. We're doing the exact same mental process we did the first time, the second time. And that's not useful. That's wasting those 3 to 4 minutes, as little as they are. So what you want to do is you want to break away from sunk cost fallacy. You want to break your commitment to that decision and try a different method. And if you think about it, in the math section, we spent so much time in this class. Pulkit asked all of you guys to share different approaches that you had to solve every question. Why? Now we have a huge toolbox of methods we can use to solve every single question, right? So when you come to question 1, you can solve it in the way you're most comfortable. But when it comes to checking question 1, you need to try to solve it in a different way. And that's going to be your most effective way of checking your work, because that's how you're going to catch your mistakes. Right? And obviously you won't be able to get through all of your questions in that time, but then you can smartly pick out the ones that you were less comfortable with and check them again, right? This is something you guys can write down in your pure notes under review strategy for when you're checking your work. This is something that you guys should be doing when you're checking your work. Practice checking every question in a different method, and that's going to help you. So now we have practice for before the exam, eliminate choices during the exam and while you're doing the questions, and when you're done and when you have time to check, you want to make sure that you're checking your work using a different method. So these are my big 3 key takeaways for you guys using the principles of behavioral economics. So I hope you take away sort of 2 things from this. One is sort of like a nice introduction to this sort of new field of social sciences, understanding kind of human decision making. It's really exciting, something I'm very excited about. If you're starting the IB economics curriculum in August, they're actually introducing behavioral economics to it. It wasn't there before, so that's something I think is exciting, but I'm not going to sell this out too much. And the second thing is obviously these 3 key things. You want to be practicing the correct approach so that you can make sure that it gets lodged into your system 1 processing. You want to eliminate choices so that you can see the problem clearer. And when you're checking your work, you want to be making sure you're using a new method to do so. So one last kind of key thing I want to just leave you guys with is that This whole time, Pulkit has been teaching you root cause analysis, right? When you get a question wrong, figure out what is the root cause of that problem. But here today, I was trying to take it one step further and understand why the brain let you make that mistake in the first place. And by understanding why the brain lets us make these mistakes in the first place and training our brain the correct way, training our system one processing the right way, we'll be able to like eliminate those problems immediately. So this is something very special. Not a lot of people are going to be studying for the SAT this way. I know I didn't have all of this when I was studying for the SAT, but hopefully this is something that gives you a little bit of psychological clarity into the approaches that this course has been sharing with you, and more importantly, how we can be using those approaches effectively when you're studying and when you're in that situation. So just, this is something to keep in mind for SAT and also future tests. This is not something that's going away. So I hope this was useful. And if you have any questions, feel free to ask or feel free to reach out to me another time. I'm happy to talk about this. I'm happy to talk about UCLA, UWC, whatever you need. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Aditi. That was awesome. Let's test everybody's listening skills. Can we all write a thank you message for Aditi, followed by what did you learn from this? What is one thing that you took away from that? Honestly, that is information you're not going to get anywhere else. Literally, it's like, it's gold, okay? I really hope you take this as important. So I should see a bunch of thank you messages coming through with what you took away from that. Yeah, thank you. Natalia understands that a tip on checking your work. That's awesome. Oh, wow, these are coming in fast. Okay, awesome. This is great. So now I would like to also share one advice with you. So if you've noticed something about me is that I always try and tell you guys to approach a problem in a different way, right? If 99 people are doing it one way in the world, I'm trying to be that one different person that has a different approach that's much faster. So I just want to share with you that mentality because it can be really helpful. And everything that we've done in SAT so far has followed that approach. You will notice this class and the way it's structured and what it teaches is not being taught anywhere else. This is like the 1 in a million approach, okay? So this is the way I've lived my life. So I want to share a couple stories that I hope you too are inspired to do that in the future. So when I was at Georgia Tech, I was recruiting for an internship. So a company a consulting company came to campus to give what is called a info session. So the recruiters come and they talk and everybody's sitting in a hall, like 100 people listening. And everybody's there trying to impress the recruiter so that they can get a job offer. But it's 4 people and 100 people trying to impress, right? So the big boss, the El Jefe, came in 10 minutes late, gave a 10-minute presentation, and then he was going to walk out. Okay, so I was like, all right, how can I be different than these 100 people trying to impress the recruiters with their resume? So when the El Jefe walked out, I got up and I walked out too. And I bumped into him into the elevator. And as we were going down, and I was like, hey, how's it going? Thank you so much for that presentation. I was polite. I thanked him, told him what I learned from it. And I was like, why don't I walk you to your car? So I walked the guy to his car. And so I got 3 minutes with El Jefe, the guy that makes the decisions on hiring. And through that, I got the interview. And there was 99 people still sitting in that room listening to the presentation, trying to impress the recruiters, okay? So find the different way. Find how you can stand out. Afterwards, in the interview, what we had to do was you are given a blank piece of paper and you have to draw out slides. Like you have to draw out slides, you know, like a presentation. You have to draw it out and then you have to present it to the boss. So I knew that everybody would come in with a pen or pencil and be drawing out their slides and write down information because they were focusing on the content, right? Like SAT people focus on the content only. But I knew that if the partner, the boss is looking at 20 different presentations, my presentation needs to stand out from everybody else's. So I walked in the room with a ruler and with color pencils, and I made my slides in color and I underlined with a ruler. Can you believe it? Just so simple, just underlining with a ruler. And I walked into the meeting and I presented my slides to the guy and he was like, wow, this is a breath of fresh air. I love it. There's like lines and like it's colors and everything, because everything else he was seeing looked like this kind of chicken scratch, right? Or the chicken scratch that was drawn today is so much more beautiful than what you have on here, right? So that was how then I got the job. So that's how I got the job, because I was different than everybody else in that interview room, and I stood out. And lastly, at business school at Stanford, when I was there, we were invited to the dean of the business school invited select students to a session to network with alumni. So I didn't know the dean yet, but the dean had picked me, so I was very happy. So there were about like 10, 20 of us students that were invited to that session. And so we networked and everything. Some people talked to the dean, some people talked to the alums and everything. So I went home after that session and I sent a very nice thank you email to the dean saying, thank you so much for the opportunity of inviting me to this session. And I told the dean what the dean wants to hear. The dean wants to hear that the alumni enjoyed the session, right? Because the alumni are the donors to the university. So I told the dean about 2 of my interactions with alumni, how I shared with them how the business school is right now. And I asked them how their business school was in the past, the alumni. And then we compared notes. So the alumni was able to connect with the school. I shared with the alumni some cool things that we're doing now, like some cool new initiatives on campus, how old traditions have continued, right? If you came back to your high school 10 years later and some kid told you about all the traditions that have continued or not continued, you would be interested, right? So I told the dean about all of that. And I was like, I really enjoyed it. I hope the alumni did too. Thank you again. Polite email, that was it. So the dean absolutely loved my email. She was so happy to see it because, again, it was not just a thank you. It was a thank you with here's information that the other person wants to hear. And so the dean was so happy that 2 weeks later, I get this email saying, please fill out your profile. And then I fill out the profile. And then a week later, I put in the link. This is what shows up in my email inbox. So you'll be hit with the paywall. I don't know how to remove this paywall. I can't pay for all of you. Business Insider is charging money. But essentially, the school referred 5 people to Business Insider, which is like the really cool business article, business website, with 5 students at Stanford that are doing great. And so my name was picked out of there because the dean remembered me as who I was and because I was polite and interacted with them, okay? Whereas there's people in my class who would just stay in their rooms and study all the time. And the person who graduated ranked first in our class, he just studied. But this is just a different way, right? So I want you guys to just think about the different ways that there are in each situation. Don't just jump in the rat race and with blinders run the rat race, okay? Try and figure out how you can be like a drone and teleport yourself to the end while all the other rats are still scrambling around in the race, okay? So everything I've done has been like that. And so I hope you take this information. You're only gonna get this once. I hope you take this information and really apply it. This is the 1 in a million approach, like Aditi mentioned, backed by logic and reasoning to getting there. Okay, so yesterday I asked you what your most liked Instagram page was. So Be Like Bro seemed to be a very famous Instagram page. So I also made an Instagram page. And so if you search up tutor.bro, that is my Instagram page now. And so I would love all of you to go and follow tutor.bro. And let me show, oh, that's not what I want to do. Let me share with you if you want to do a scan. I think this should work also. So I would love all of you to follow me on Instagram. There's going to be some fun content. There is a meme. There is a meme in there. There is a meme. You will see it. Hopefully you can see the meme. Hey, I just doubled my followers. I went from 3 to 6. All right. Can we double it again? Oh, it's 33. We just 10x'd. Oh my gosh. All right. This is great. Folks, this is exponential growth happening. All right. There's going to be some lit content on here. Okay. My friends also told me that memes are very famous these days. So there's going to be a lot of memes on here also. Although they told me to pronounce it memes. I'm kidding. I'm messing. Maybe I should just pronounce it memes from now on. All right. How many are we at right now? 53. Let's go. Okay. So there's going to be some really cool stuff. The other thing, wait, actually, let me just show you this hilarious video. This is what the last 5 minutes of the SAT will be like. Wait, let me share my audio as well. This was a lot of fun for me to create. Okay, this is what your last 5 minutes in SAT are going to be like.
He looks calm and ready to try, but he keeps on forgetting what he wrote down. The whole crowd goes so loud, but the words won't come out. He's joking now. Everybody's joking now. The clock's run out. Time's up. He looks calm and ready to try.
Time's up. All right, so that's my Instagram page. I hope you guys like it. There's going to be a ton of cool stuff coming up on here like this. I would also love for all of you to share this page, this one. Could you all share this on your stories, please? I would love to have more people join the CS class tomorrow. So I would love all of you to please share this one. I'll give you another 2 minutes to please share this. You can share this or the account, this one. Notice the same shirt. Guess when this photo was taken? Today. That's right. This was all done live. So please share this. Okay, who has school? What school do you go to? I thought we're on summer holidays. This is, oh my gosh, I'm so sorry. What? You should move to SAS or UWC. Apparently they don't have school anymore. They're on holiday. Whoa, all of these schools have school right now? Oh my gosh. There will be a replay session at 7 p.m. You can watch it there. Okay, so I hope you're sharing this. This is free CS class. I think your friends would love to have the CS class and watch me dance out to Palms Are Sweaty. Yeah. Okay. Let me check something. One second. Okay, 1 second. All right. The other thing I'm going to just put out here again is this form. If you have not filled out this form, you should fill out this form. And if you have not shared this post, you should share this post. All right, I'm going to give you 2 minutes to share this post. Hey, White. Cool, I got another follower. So please. Okay, there's another guy that's Tutor without a dot. His name is Tutor Bro. Don't follow him, okay? He has 29 followers. That should not go up, all right? Can we check how many followers does that guy have now? You should not follow him. Follow the one with the dot. This guy. No, Aryan, don't follow him, dude. Don't. Yo. He's a deactivated account. I'm gonna try and buy his account from him. I don't want you guys following some rando online, okay? This is not safe. Not safe. Your parents will not be happy. Okay, I hope you have all shared and liked. And can you give me some hearts on this? Oh, there's 23 hearts on this. Yo, this is so cool. Right. Okay, I'm a pretty like Instagram noob, so this is all very new for me. I have a bunch of hearts. This is great. Gracias, muchas gracias. Okay, so we are now on. It's now time for the second surprise guest. So we have a very, very cool person joining us. Her name is Ahika. So Ahika is currently a student at the Berklee College of Music. She is also a UWC alumni from Singapore, and she is a singer and a musician, and she writes her own originals. So she is going to sing for us today and get us ready and pumped up for the road ahead, which is the study road onto the SAT to crush this paper and get into university, okay? After that, we have a very small goodbye session, so stick around for that. And so I would like to welcome Ahika, if everybody can give a round of applause and put a welcome, and I would love for Ahika to come up and take it away.
Hi, everyone. So I'm going to be singing a song called Ain't No Mountain High Enough by Marvin Gaye. It's a really old one, but I love this song, and I hope you enjoy it. Listen, baby, ain't no mountain high, ain't no valley low, ain't no river wide enough, baby. Now if you need me, call me, no matter where you are, no matter how far. Don't worry, baby, just call my name, I'll be there in a hurry. You don't have to worry, baby, there ain't no mountain high enough, ain't no valley low enough, ain't no river wide enough to keep me from getting to you, babe. I set you free. I told you you could always count on me. And from that day on, I made a vow. I'll be there if you want me, some way, somehow. Baby, there ain't no mountain high enough, ain't no valley low enough, ain't no river wide enough to keep me from getting to you, babe. If you're ever in trouble, I'll be there on the double. Just send for me, oh baby. My love is alive, way down in my heart. Although we are miles apart, if you ever need a helping hand, I'll be there on the double. Hey, hey, ain't no mountain high enough, ain't no valley low, ain't no river wide enough to keep me from going. Ain't no river, no. Hey, ain't no mountain high enough, ain't no valley low enough, ain't no river wide enough to keep me from getting to you, babe. Ain't no mountain high enough, ain't no valley low enough, ain't no river wide enough to keep me from getting to you, babe. Thank you.
That was awesome. That was amazing. Ahika, you were amazing. So if you like that, folks, you can follow Ahika on YouTube and on Instagram. So the links are in the chat. And Ahika, would you like to give some advice to these students that are about to embark on their SAT study journey?
Yes, so actually I was gonna come on here and wish you luck for all of your exams. And also, if any of you are interested in music or pursuing a certain instrument, then I was thinking of sharing some advice for you guys if you want to hear it. So basically, I wanted to say that if you wish to pursue an instrument and you love to perform, then take any opportunity, big or small, that you can to perform. And I would say that like gaining as much experience as possible, whether you perform at a big venue, a small venue, at school, a family gathering, that'll allow you to be more confident in your abilities and your talent. And I would also say to listen to as many genres and types of music from different cultures and parts of the world. Because that'll help you to kind of find out new things about the art of music and its intricacies, as well as different cultures and how they approach music. So, and different music styles will definitely help you develop your creativity too. So yeah, that's the advice that I would probably give.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Ahika. Thank you so much for coming.
And if you guys liked what you heard today, then you can follow me on Instagram. Pulkit has just shared the link of that, and then also my YouTube channel, you can subscribe to that. I post covers of like current songs as well as genres including like R&B, old jazz, and I'm going to start posting more devotional songs as well. So if you're interested in that, then you can subscribe to my channel and listen to that. And if you want to reach out to me at all, then you could message me on Instagram and Facebook. And yeah, thank you for having me.
Thank you. Thank you. That was amazing. Oh my gosh, love that song. Great.
Good luck.
I love the thank yous that are pouring in. Okay, so now we are reaching the last 13 minutes of our time together on this SAT journey. So I would like for you to think back over the 30 sessions that we've been through together. That's a lot of sessions, right? 30 sessions. I would love for you to think back and just write down some of your favorite moments or some of your learning moments. So we'd love for all of you to just write down Your favorite learning was Barney one of your favorite? Okay, I love it. Okay, great. I'm trying to have my 2.5-year-old cousin sister sing Barney as well, so I can share that on my new Instagram page. If you haven't followed, follow, and you will see it there. Kahoots was fun. Okay, me singing. Oh gosh, I was only lip syncing, folks. It's like I'm not really singing. I'm not made like that. What were some of the learnings that you got from this class? What were some of the things that you are grateful for that you now know? Frozen. Oh my gosh, yeah. That whole like high pitched song is pretty great, right? Thank you with a reason. That was a great one. Be different. Yeah, be different. Study smart. Study smart. Grammar rules. We went through a ton of those. We spent what, 2 days, 3 days on grammar rules? That was a big one. Yeah. That was a good one. Let's keep it coming. Different is good. How to crush the SAT and always stay confident. Always stay confident. Always stay smiling. That will help you so much to prepare for stuff. To understand how to enjoy while studying. Yeah, thank you. Yeah, you can have a ton of fun while studying. Different approaches, different ways to solve a math question, fall in love with the passage. Absolutely fall in love with the passage. That was a big part of what we did. Many more math tricks. We went through so many math tricks. Yep. Pure notes versus doing a million questions. Oh my gosh, this person, genius. Yes, that was a big takeaway, right? You didn't know Pop Danthology. Yeah, Pop Danthology has some good beats, right? Yeah, listen to that. Cool stuff. To be top 1%, you have to act like the top 1%. That's right. That is absolutely right. Let me put a little context here. In this class, there are 140 of you that were joining every day. I just want to put into context, as me, the one person, and 140 of you, who were the people that I was recognizing the most? The people that I were recognizing the most were the people that had their videos on and were constantly like nodding and listening to me. So you know who I'm talking about when I say this one person had their video on all the time. He was my favorite. There was another person, he would log in and towards the end, he would always private message me saying how much he loved the song. That made me feel really happy. That made me feel happy about my song choice. And he would always private message me about what the song was great, like in the beginning since the start. There's one person, whenever we start this class, she puts a hi in chat, right? It's always her. She's always there. She even joins the Zoom calls like 30 minutes early. And so I get an email saying this person's waiting in the Zoom link. There are some of you that would send me thank you emails, and some of you that send me really, really nice and long thank you emails. That made a huge difference. Okay, so that was really appreciated. There were some of you that offered your help in helping me set up this Instagram. And to those people, again, I was able to stay connected. And those people stood out to me. There were some of you that, there were some of you that actually complimented my dance moves. I'm thinking of this one person who always compliments my dance moves and makes me feel good about that also, okay? So these were the people that stood out. These were the people that were being different in this room of 130, 140 people, okay? And I'm struggling to remember more because, again, if you want to stand out, you have to be different. And so that's, to be the top 1%, you have to act like the top 1%. When everyone else is not turning on their video, you have to turn on your video and be at the top nodding. And that's how you're gonna get, it's so simple. It's just simple as turning on your video. I now know who you are. Making new friends here, I love it. And then studying smart is greater than studying hard. Absolutely. You have no idea. I completely agree with that. Okay, now I want to share one more thing, which is, let's see, how do we do this? Okay, let's do it this way. Oh no, am I having problems? Why is everyone, why is this happening? Why is everyone going to the waiting room? Oh no, what is happening? Okay, all right, we have put 2 members in the waiting room again. So you remember this, we've done this drill before, right? Here's a form, please fill it out, and I'm gonna admit them back, okay? So please fill out this form. And again, showing gratitude is very important. Let me just make sure it's working properly. Yeah. All right, so please fill that out, okay? I'm letting them back in. Awesome, okay, all right. I hope all of you are doing that. Super, great. So this is all we have for today. If you would like to send me a note, I would love to have it through email, so I also know who it is. Would love to see your notes. So I'm now going to start putting up testimonials on the website. And so would love to have you reach out to me and tell me what you liked about this class, how it was different from any other SAT session you've taken before, or what you learned from it, what you took away from it, what did I do that was special. If you have some feedback also, how to make it better, would love to hear that as well. And these are going to go on the website and maybe on the Instagram as testimonials. And if you want to be featured on the Instagram, that is also going to happen. So if you filled out the form above, I'm going to be featuring some students from this class on the Instagram and featuring how you have fun while studying and how you study with fun. So we're going to do that, all right? So I hope today was a ton of good news, and I hope you enjoyed it. It has been a ton of fun doing this class. See you all tomorrow, 10:30 a.m. for the CS class, a new class completely. And please share the link with your friends. The people that are winning currently is Naman and Naman's dad, have both referred 2 people. So they're the people that are winning the competition. So to win the competition, you just have to share three people, and then you will win the competition of who shared the most. And then we have, oh, actually, no, there's also one more person. Abhinav has also shared twice. So please refer to other people. And if you are already registered for this class, then you are good. You don't need to register again. I will be removing referrals from people that have already registered. So if you're trying to game the system, it's not going to work. So that was it. Let me send you out with the with
Mark. Gwen Stefani, you're.
All right, thank you, everyone. See you all tomorrow for the CS session, or see you all on test day on the SAT.